Welcome back to Euro Football Daily, and as the season comes to a close, we bring you 10 players who have carried their teams this campaign. Let's go! 10. Rodrigo de Paul. We start perhaps surprisingly with a player whose team are in the midst of a relegation battle. Udinese are currently 14th in Serie A, just 3 points above the drop zone, whilst their 21 goals scored is the second lowest tally in the division. And if it wasn't for Rodrigo de Paul, the Zabretti could be in a far worse position. The 26-year-old has been the main man in Udinese since his arrival from Valencia back in 2016, and despite seeing his numbers slip slightly compared to last season, he still continues to pull the strings from central midfield. 17 goal contributions may have dropped to just 7, although we are just 2/3 of the way through the Serie A campaign. 2.3 shots a game, the highest in the squad, has brought him 5 goals, and whilst he only has 2 assists, his 2.2 key passes per 90 is 7th best in Italy's top tier. Meanwhile, his 2 dribbles a match is second best amongst his teammates and good enough for 11th in Serie A too. It's clear that Udinese ebb and flow with de Paul's performances, and if he plays as well as we know he can, then there will be no danger of relegation for the side. 9. Danny Ings. Before we go any further, just a quick reminder to subscribe to Euro Football Daily and hit that notification bell to never miss one of our top 10s. To the Premier League now, where if it wasn't for Danny Ings, the gap between Southampton and 18th would be a lot less than the 10 points it currently stands at. The Englishman has had an injury-hit few seasons, but since joining the Saints from Liverpool, initially on loan last campaign, he has just gone from strength to strength. Between the end of September and the new year, the 27-year-old went on a scoring run of 13 goals in 16 matches. These goals have earned the South Coast club 13 points, and without those they would be firmly planted to the bottom of the table. At the time of recording, Ings has scored 16 goals this season, 43% of his team's 38 total goals, with only Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang matching that dominant percentage. In fact, none of his teammates have even passed the 5-goal mark, with James Ward-Prowse second in the goal-scoring charts with 4. Shane Long only has 2 to his name, and £15 million signing Che Adams is yet to get off the mark. Southampton fans will be desperately hoping that Ings can maintain his good fitness and form between now and the end of the campaign. Otherwise, they'll be looking over their shoulder nervously. 8. Dimitri Paille. Historically, Marseille are one of France's biggest clubs, yet they hadn't finished in the top 2 since 2013, far too long for a side of their stature. This campaign, though, they achieved just that under the stewardship of Andre Villas-Boas, and even though the end of the season was curtailed due to the pandemic, a 6-point cushion between them and third place Rennes suggests they deserved that outcome. West Ham fans know full well that Dimitri Paille's presence can carry a team, and that is something that has continued into his second spell on the French Riviera. And as it happens, this is his best season since moving back to Marseille. He leads his teammates for shots, key passes and dribbles, and even his 1 tackle a match is a career best. Paille also features in the league charts too, as those 2.9 shots per game have him in 6th in a league that also stars Kylian Mbappe and Neymar. And his 4 key passes doesn't just top Ligue 1, but also all of Europe's top 5 leagues. With 9 goals and 4 assists in this shortened campaign, it's clear evidence that the 33-year-old is still at the top of his game. 7. Aitor Fernandes. Now, the name of Aitor Fernandes may not be one that is instantly recognisable to football fans, and to be honest, we don't blame you. The Spanish goalkeeper had bounced around the lower leagues after failing to make the grade at Athletic Bilbao, featuring for Villarreal's B team and Numancia. In 2018, he finally made his La Liga debut though, moving to Levante for just €1 million. After being second choice last season, this time around he has firmly cemented the number 1 spot for El Gratonas, featuring in every single one of their games to date. And it's safe to say he's earned that role, making an outstanding 4.4 saves a match, good enough not just for the best in Spain, but across Europe's top 5 leagues. So whilst Levante have conceded 44 goals this season, 7th worst in the division, if it wasn't for the 29-year-old they would have conceded 55, according to XG. This means that Fernandes' efforts in the Ciutat de Valencia have saved the club 11 goals, which would no doubt have been the difference between a hard-fought relegation battle and the comfortable mid-table spot they find themselves in. 6. Filip Kostich. Last season Eintracht Frankfurt were one of Europe's surprise packages, playing attractive attacking football under Adi Hutter. The front line was led by Luka Jovic, Seb Haller, Filip Kostich and Ante Rebic, who between them scored 47 of the Adler's 60 Bundesliga goals. But a year on and Kostich is the only one who remains at the Commerzbank Arena, with his 3 former teammates all faltering in their new environments. In the previous campaign, the 27-year-old racked up 6 goals and 10 assists, leading his team in key passes and dribbles. And this season he's picked up the slack left by Jovic and co, seeing his shots jump from 1.8 to 2.7 per 90, key passes up to 2.5 from 1.4, and dribbles up to 2.5 from 1.7. All these figures lead his teammates in Frankfurt, whilst the latter two are almost double anyone else's output at the club. With 4 goals and 11 assists to show for his efforts, Kostich has put himself in the shop window with his standout performances in the absence of last season's teammates. He could be another big money sale for Eintracht this summer, as the club missed out on European competition for the first time in 3 years. 5. Nabil Fekir. One transfer that caught many by surprise 12 months ago was that of Nabil Fekir to Real Betis. The former Lyon standout cost Los Verdiblancos €20 million, almost half of what Liverpool were going to pay the French side for his services the prior campaign, before concerns were raised about his fitness and attitude. Well, Jurgen Klopp shouldn't have worried, as Fekir's season has had very little disruption as he's become a star in Seville. Effectively bought as Giovanni Lo Celso's replacement, the 26-year-old has hit the ground running with 7 goals and 4 assists in an underwhelming campaign for Betis. The Frenchman's 3.2 shots a match is 4th best in La Liga, whilst his 3.2 dribbles per 90 trails just Lionel Messi in Spain and is 9th best across Europe's top 5 leagues. Fekir also makes 1.3 key passes a game, which is 3rd amongst his teammates, behind just Sergio Canales and Joaquin. Many people thought Fekir was a bargain when Betis signed him, and he's definitely proved to be just that, even if he couldn't save Rubia's job. 4. Robert Lewandowski. A month away from his 32nd birthday, Robert Lewandowski has been Bayern Munich's only real striking option for the past few years, and the worry was that that would come back to bite them. But here we are at the end of the season and he scored 49 goals in just 41 matches, averaging well over 1 a match in the Bundesliga. The Polish international scored in each of his 13 matches across all competitions to start the campaign, finding the net 20 times before the end of October. In fact, looking at the entire season, Lewandowski failed to score in just 7 matches, and even in 2 of those he picked up an assist. Even in the Champions League with Bayern on the verge of qualifying for the Final 8 tournament, he scored at a rate of 1 every 47 minutes. Bayern are of course by no means a one-man team, with Serge Gnabry in double figures for both goals and assists, and Thomas Müller breaking the Bundesliga assist record this term. But there's no doubt if you pull Lewandowski out of this side and don't replace him adequately, they might not be Bundesliga champions for an 8th year in a row. 3. Jack Grealish. It may be a surprise to see a player from a team in the relegation zone feature so high on this list, but that's just testament to how reliant Aston Villa have been on Jack Grealish this season. Just 24 years old, the local lad now captains the club he grew up supporting and is definitely doing the fans proud. 7 goals and 6 assists lead the club charts, as does his 2.7 key passes, which is double John McGinn's next best output. 2 shots and 2.1 dribbles also rank best amongst his teammates, as manager Dean Smith's game plan simply seems to be get the ball to Jack. In total, Grealish has contributed to almost 40% of his team's 36 goals this season, a mark that is amongst the highest in the division. There's no wonder that he's seen an £80 million asking price slapped on him should any club want to prize him away from Villa Park, something Spurs came close to a few years ago, and Man United have been linked with more recently. Premier League safety may still be a long way off for Villa, but without Grealish they would have already been condemned to life in the 2nd tier. 2. Jadon Sancho. But Grealish hasn't been the best Englishman to carry a team this campaign. That award goes to Borussia Dortmund's Jadon Sancho. There's nothing we can't tell you about Sancho that you don't already know. Turning 20 back in March, the electric attacker has double figures for both goals and assists in each of the last 2 campaigns, but this season in particular has been impressive. Sancho has made 33 goal contributions this season, which is remarkable in itself, with only Lionel Messi and Ciro Immobile making more. His 16 assists is topped by just Thomas Müller across the top 5 leagues, and the 17 goals he has scored ranks him 9th, having reached the mark in fewer minutes than Aubameyang, and no other 20-year-old has even managed half that tally. Now we know there is talent surrounding Sancho on the pitch. After all, Dortmund were pushing for a title, Hakimi has been a standout star, and Haaland certainly gave opposition defences more to consider. But this campaign the Dortmund side have revolved around the English prodigy, and rumours of a move well worth over £100 million back to the Premier League are well justified. 1. Lionel Messi. Having already been mentioned a couple of times on this list, it comes as no surprise that Lionel Messi continues to carry Barcelona towards what could be his 11th La Liga crown with the club. Messi didn't actually play a full 90 for Barcelona until the beginning of October, but since then he has only failed to provide a goal contribution in 6 matches, cruising to the top of the La Liga charts for both goals and assists, closing in on 40 combined for the season. And with a significant period of the campaign to go, he could still top his best ever assist return in the League of 18. As for his underlying numbers, 4.7 shots trails just Ronaldo and Neymar, with the latter being the only one to top his 5.7 dribbles. Messi has also remained the constant in a side ravaged by injury and inconsistencies. Dembele and Griezmann have underwhelmed, and Luis Suarez has missed large parts, leaving the Argentine with the 17-year-old Ansu Fati as the only alternative. But no matter, Messi continued to play as the best player in the world, and don't be surprised to see him pop up again in this list next year. So guys, that was 10 players who have carried their side this season. What did you guys think of the rundown? Did we miss anyone out? Let me know as ever in the comments down below. As I said earlier, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!